I'm officially 35 weeks pregnant today, and I have an ultrasound and checkup. All the kids wanted to come.
Welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into 3 very different Bates updates that are getting people talking for completely different reasons. Whitney is entering the final stretch of pregnancy, Lydia is sharing a sweet family outing with the kids, and Warden, somehow with one tiny social media move, is once again stirring up conversation online. And honestly, this is exactly what makes Bates updates so interesting right now. Not everyone is moving in the same direction anymore, and that contrast is making the family feel more talked about than ever. Over the last little while, each of these 3 has already had their own quiet build-up. Whitney has been keeping followers in that nervous but exciting waiting period before baby arrives. Lydia has been easing back into lighter family content after more serious attention around her side of the family. And Warden has continued to attract that "what is he doing now?" kind of curiosity that always seems to follow him. So now that all 3 have fresh updates out at the same time, it feels less like random posts and more like 3 very different chapters unfolding at once. Starting with Whitney, this is definitely the biggest real-life milestone out of the bunch. She's officially 35 weeks pregnant, which means baby girl is almost here. And she recently shared a really emotional ultrasound update that instantly got attention. What made it feel extra special is that she didn't go alone. She brought the whole family along. Her kids got to see the baby on the screen, hear the heartbeat, and be part of that moment in a way that felt genuinely sweet instead of overly staged. It had that classic Bates family warmth, but it also felt personal and real. Whitney's caption made it clear that even though they're this close, it still doesn't fully feel real to her yet. That's such a relatable feeling for moms in that final stretch. Everything is ready, everyone is excited, and yet it still feels surreal that a whole new person is about to arrive. She also shared that baby girl is already measuring at a healthy size, and thankfully everything looked good at the appointment. So overall, this was a very positive and reassuring update, especially for followers who always get a little extra invested when one of the Bates moms is nearing delivery. But of course, because this is the internet, people didn't just focus on the emotional part. The comments also quickly turned practical. And honestly, kind of funny. Several followers immediately started wondering how Whitney and Zach are going to fit yet another child into their already full family setup. One of the biggest questions that popped up was about their car situation. People were literally asking what they're going to do car-wise, especially since Whitney has openly loved driving a Yukon. And that's actually part of why her content still works. She can share a heartfelt ultrasound moment, and in the very next breath, the audience is talking about SUV logistics. It keeps her content grounded in normal family reality. Then we move over to Lydia, and the vibe shifts completely. While Whitney's update is all about waiting for a big moment, Lydia's is about enjoying one. She shared clips and photos from Kaia's first trip to Dollywood, and the whole thing had a soft, easy family feel to it. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't heavy, it was just a simple, making memories type of update. And sometimes that's exactly the kind of content people want from the Bates world. The photos showed Lydia out with both kids, walking through the park, stopping for pictures, and soaking in the day. There were sweet little moments everywhere. Kaia standing with support, Ryker walking hand in hand, and the family moving through Dollywood in that very curated but still casual way Lydia tends to post. Her caption called it one of her favorite collections of clips from Kaia's first Dollywood trip, and that really does match the energy. It felt like a scrapbook moment more than a headline moment. What really stood out to followers, though, was Kaia. Several comments immediately zoomed in on whether she might already be close to walking. There's one moment where she's holding just one finger for support, and that alone was enough to spark a bunch of "wait, is she walking already?" type reactions. Other followers chimed in with their own parenting experiences, saying their kids also started walking before their first birthday. So while Lydia was clearly just sharing a cute family day, the audience instantly turned it into a mini milestone watch. And honestly, that says a lot about where Lydia's content sits right now. She's not necessarily driving controversy or making huge announcements every time she posts, but she's very good at giving followers those soft little family moments that still keep people engaged. There's always something small to notice: a first ride, a first outing, a first sign of a new milestone. and paired with her polished aesthetic style, it creates content that feels very easy for her audience to consume and talk about. Then there's Warden, and unsurprisingly, his update is the most random, but probably the most talked about in a totally different corner of the internet. Unlike Whitney and Lydia, Warden didn't even need to post a full family update to get attention. All it took was a Reddit post pointing out that he had liked something on Instagram, and suddenly people were off and running with it. The Reddit post basically turned into a full-on discussion thread about Warden being classic Warden. People were joking, speculating, and reading way too much into one simple like, but at the same time, that's exactly why it blew up. Warden has become one of those Bates family members where even the smallest action gets interpreted as some kind of personality clue. He's not always the loudest one publicly, but somehow he still manages to keep people watching. A lot of the reactions had that mix of humor and side-eye that usually follows him online. Some commenters made jokes about him acting exactly how they'd expect, while others said it was almost refreshing to see one of the Bates boys behaving more like a regular guy his age. And that's really where the bigger conversation starts. Warden seems to be drifting into that role of the sibling who doesn't fit as neatly into the polished family mold anymore, and whether people love that or hate it, they definitely notice it. That contrast is what makes these three updates so interesting when you put them together. Whitney's content is rooted in family expansion and motherhood. Lydia's content leans into memory making, milestones, and soft family aesthetics. Warden, meanwhile, keeps pulling attention in a more chaotic, less curated way. And when you look at them side by side, it becomes really obvious that the Bates family brand isn't one single thing anymore. That's actually one of the biggest changes happening with this family lately. They're no longer all presenting the exact same version of life. Some are still deeply in the family and faith content lane, some are leaning into lifestyle and motherhood, and others, like Warden, are starting to create interest just by being slightly less predictable. And in a weird way, that may be exactly what's keeping people invested. Because now, following the Bates family doesn't feel like following one giant unit. It feels like following multiple mini storylines at the same time. One update gives you sweetness, another gives you milestones, and another gives you just enough internet mess to keep Reddit entertained for a full day. That mix is what keeps the conversation alive. So right now, Whitney is heading into one of the biggest moments of the year for her family. Lydia is building those very shareable little family memories with Kaia and Ryker, and Warden is proving yet again that he can create buzz without even trying very hard. Three totally different energies, but all of them are feeding into the same thing, keeping the Bates universe active, watchable, and impossible for followers to fully ignore. And now, I want to know what you think. Which of these updates stands out the most to you right now? Are you most invested in Whitney getting closer to baby girl's arrival? Do you love the sweet family content from Lydia? Or are you watching Warden's every move because you know he's always one step away from another internet moment? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.